Hello, Brandy. Not sure if we see her yet. But yeah, that would be super awesome if you could also touch on that. Hi,
Okay.
Brandy.
Hi, Brandy.
Good to see you. Last time, Brandy, you were at work because we did the call on like a Wednesday because I was traveling, Meghana, in Nepal. And so I
Oh,
got to see her like awesome cover photo. But yay, it's so good to see your face, Brandy. Yay.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. And I'm so excited you're here because, we might have like a smaller group today because a lot of people are going to catch the replay, but you also have a kid. And so you and Megan are like, oh, here's David and Jana. You and Meghana are like similar in that sense. So, yay.
yeah. Well, I have
Yay. I'm
three
glad.
now. So,
Yeah. I
Wait,
have three too.
you guys
okay.
both have three kids?
Nice. Congratulations.
What?
I have older kids though. I have twins that are 22,
Oh, wow.
and then a 13-year-old. So
Oh my gosh.
Wow. And hey, David and Jana, good to see you guys. How are you guys today? Oh, I think you guys are on mute. You're gonna really like this call, and I'm so excited to have Meghana. Meghana, I'm saying your name
Meghna.
right?
No, it's cool. It's really good. It's really close. Meghna. It's a little less. It's like more close together. But yes,
But
you
I'm
got
like,
it.
I'm putting it together, I think, for the most part, right? Right.
You got it. You
Okay,
got it.
perfect. How are you guys, David and Jana? I don't know if you guys can unmute, but feel free when you figure it out to let us know how your guys' weekend is. Oh, I still don't hear you guys. Well, I will assume you guys are okay because you're here, which is great. And for those, there's a lot of people that are going to catch the replay, but I'm so excited to have you guys on today because Meghana and we connected a while ago, huh? It was like
I
maybe
think back in April or June. I don't remember. Sometime then.
I was in Spain and I was running the summit and we connected. Yes, it was amazing. And so she's really awesome because she has made the move recently to Portugal. And
Well, well, now it's almost 4 years. I don't know how recent, but
I
I
know
would
my mind,
say,
I'm still thinking that's recent.
is it recent? Okay,
I
then
mean,
we'll go
kind
with
of
that. I feel good about it being recent.
2020, right?
2020 January.
Yeah, amazing. And so, yeah, the point of why I really wanted you to be here is because, well, first of all, to kind of give you guys a background on Meghana, she's a wife, business partner, mother, entrepreneur, world traveler. We all love to world travel and so much more. And she's a second generation South Asian American from San Francisco, holler to California. I'm from LA, so it's good to have
Yay!
you here. And in January 2020, she relocated to Lisbon with her husband and three kids. And they've always wanted to live abroad. So this was really, their mission. And yeah, basically, like she was able to do this through unwavering commitment and trust in herself. And what we really want to talk about today, too, is kind of like the mindset behind it, the shifts that might happen. She's also lived entirely off of passive income, which offers full control of her time. And now she's helping people she's supporting others to become more free in their lives through her life coaching practice. So I just think it's such fun
Exactly.
to have you here. Um,
Thank you.
so thank you for being here. And then did I introduce you? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Shauna. That was a good intro. Let me tell you,
Okay.
there was a lot more there, but as an intro, I liked it. Yeah,
Awesome.
there was definitely a lot more, but yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. And if you guys have any questions, like as we go to this first 30 minutes with Meghana, we are going to talk about Portugal specifically, but I think it can still apply to like any EU country because the same problems are going to arise, pretty much the same process with like the visa stuff, the moving, oh my gosh, we're selling all of our things or we're renting our homes out, like, and the baggage that comes with that. So I think it should still apply if you guys aren't going to Portugal for those I think Brandy, just so you're aware, Megan, she wants to either go to Spain or Germany. Brandy, is Portugal somewhere in the radar, just so we know?
I don't know for
Okay,
sure yet, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not sure.
okay, no worries. It's still gonna apply to you. So if you guys have
Okay.
questions, feel free to drop them in the chat like as we go. And obviously, as we touch on different points, I have some questions for Meghna. Feel free to like raise your hand, ask a question, and then we can stop and hopefully answer you. So my first question for you, Meghna, is what did this really take to make the move? Like I know you help people too with like the mindset and kind of that
Yeah.
it's not easy. Like what did it really
Yeah. Wow. So I start like because it's actually been a lifelong pursuit.
yeah.
It was like I think I've been trying to do this for like 15 years. And it started in my early 20s and just having this knowledge, like knowing what travel brought to my life and just how much it opened me and how much I really, really wanted to experience like other cultures and lives, like a way of living. I knew that I had to experience that. So I was really aware of it early on in my career, and I tried everything in my job to like any job I would apply from international development because I kind of studied city planning. So I was like, let me try to do it with a job because
Okay.
that's the way to do it, right? That's like, I'm gonna find the right job. It's gonna pay me to live abroad. And I tried everything. I really did. And it was in a time 20 years back, like there wasn't a lot online. There really wasn't that many opportunities, but for whatever reason, it never panned out at that early stage of my life in my 20s before I had the responsibilities of family and of partner. But I always had that. And I was like, I kept trying in the ways I felt were conventional and safe. But I think it like, so then I just kind of said, well, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I just have to do what I'm supposed to, get a job, start a family, get the house, do the American dream the way that it's presented to me. And maybe I'll be happy. Maybe that's okay to let that go. So I did that for quite a few years, like a good 10 years. In my 30s, I started having children. I became a mother. And with each birth, during my maternity leave, I would be like, okay, well, I'm raising a new baby. It's not leave the way it's not a vacation, but let me go to a foreign country because that is when I come alive. I know who I become when I travel. And I just needed to feel that. I needed to know what that felt like. I needed to know that was still alive in me. So I went to Panama when my first was born. He was like 5 months old, 6 months old. And then I went back to work. I did that whole thing, went back. I had a second baby, went to France, had a third baby. And by the third, I was like, we got to figure out how to do this permanently. And the third baby, my youngest, interestingly, she's named after a Portuguese town, a
Oh, wow.
famous Portuguese town, Nazaré. I
Wow.
guess my subconscious knew before my conscious brain was aware. Gave her the name, and then we went to Portugal when she was 4 months old.
Wow.
Like I was like, just like I have to be abroad. I just loved the experience. I loved to come alive. I loved the human connection. When I go abroad, I have to trust people in ways that I never have been comfortable doing in my daily life in the United States.
Yeah.
But I'm in a new place. I have to kind of let my guard down. I have to like connect with people on a human level. So I knew this was what really inspired me and brought me to like new understanding of who I am. And I needed that. So in my last maternity leave with my third child, I was like, I looked at my husband, I was like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Because I'm done talking about it. I'm done looking at everybody else who has all the means and has all the background. We can make it happen financially. I don't know. I really don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. We are going to do it. Like, this is it. And really at that point, I was like, I'm so sick and tired of talking about wanting to be abroad. We're just going to figure this out. We have 3 kids, tons of responsibility. And my approach was just like, I'm going to find every way possible. Every way possible. I'm so committed.
Amazing. Oh, I totally agree. You just have to like throw yourself in the fire.
Yes.
Nobody knows,
100.
like you just have to go. Like it's every part of it feels uncomfortable. And I love what you
Totally.
touched on too. Does anybody else feel the same way? Like if that resonated with any of you. Hi, Linda, by the way, David, Jana, just like, and Brandy, that feeling when you're abroad, like that curiosity, you feel like it's opening up this different side of you. And
Yeah.
some people don't get it. That's the other part that was pretty hard, is a lot of people don't understand
Yeah.
or haven't even experimented that little feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's
And I trusted with that feeling. I trusted into it, and I said, even if we can go for a year and I don't know what's going to happen beyond that, I trust that I'll come out of it. I'll be able to do this. And this is year 4 now.
wow, amazing. I'm so happy for
Yeah,
you.
but I really had to trust, and I really had to commit, and I also had to say I don't need to have all the answers right now. I just need to have enough to make me like want to make this happen. Otherwise, I would go into overwhelm with my like I need to research this. I need to figure out the right school. I need to figure out the right apartment. I need to figure out the right neighborhood. No, like I just was like, let's get us over there. Let's figure out the best and fastest way to get out there in a way that makes like it works for us.
Right.
And I don't need to have everything else figured out. I can figure it out when I get there because I want to feel what that school feels like. I want to know what that neighborhood feels like. I don't know when I'm doing research abroad. And then I would just get bogged down with all of the like, what is it, analysis paralysis.
Yes.
And I would just sit in inaction. I'd already done that for years. So I was like, I'm not doing that. We're not doing that anymore.
Right.
We're just going to go all in, bold. I don't have all the answers, but I trusted that I would get all the answers later.
It is a lot of trust, and it does involve like surrender, trusting this new land, trusting the people, going off of these, the government that sometimes is like in response, not very responsive or disgruntled, and you're just still in this trust that like this is for me. That's so cool, this work that you're doing. So is that what you're kind of doing in your
My
business?
coaching?
Yeah, tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean the coaching. So I had done work with coaches like since 2010. So it's like 13 years now. So I had various coaches, and I really think that all of the investment I did in myself, and then like doing the trainings and in enrolling in different workshops really helped to like create a solid belief in myself that this is something I can do. And I mean, it took a long time to get there, but this is now the training that I invested in it enough to like now I support others along in their own journey. And it could be journeys like even across, their street even, but like whatever that big change is for you, want to make in your career, you want to make in your family life. I can help support with that because a lot of the tools that I've learned have really helped me grow in all areas of life, like having the belief in myself, right? With my decision.
It's so
It
true.
stems from that.
When you're abroad too, I'm glad you touched on it, the belief in yourself, just so we can really get clear on this, guys. It's so important because I'll just give you an example. Here in Goa, India, we're here for 3 months. We're now setting into like wow, it's starting to feel like we actually live here, even though we're about to leave in 2 weeks. But it's now we're kind of like, it really does take you to not get swayed by other people, stay your course. I mean, you're meeting new people, making new friends. You really just have to know like what your North Star is. And when you're going to have bad days, like I've had a couple really bad days. It was raining 2 weeks straight. I'm not used to the rain. It's just, there's so many external things that also happen. So those of you that are here, like you guys are like the more advanced of the lot, because you guys are actually like putting things in place now to really make this happen. I mean, you're getting support, you're here, you're listening to us. We want you guys to do this. And I know you guys are really committed. Can we talk about what did you do once you made this commitment to yourself? Like, what was the first thing you guys did? Because I heard you say the easiest route and like the best route for you guys.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Geez, Right, that's a great question. So another one of my life goals was to also figure out how to become more financially free. And I knew, so basically knowing that I wasn't getting the job, like no one was going to hire me to work the places I wanted to live, right? No one's going to hire you. Sorry, no one's going to hire you to live in Portugal. It's just, that's the truth, because this is not one of those markets. This is not a market where there's high like demand, like Paris, France, or Paris or London. Like you're not going to find the jobs here that are going to lead you here. This is Lisbon. It's people make the decision in very consciously to move here for lifestyle reasons. So I say that because I want people to be real. Like I wanted so much to be in Portugal that I had to figure out how that would look. And the ways that it looked is very unconventional. I had to really face the fact that I needed to be in control of my earning power, my earning potential. So thankfully, I had a husband that was also willing to go down that route and kind of transition ourselves out of traditional jobs. I have a traditional, like I'm city planning, very much location focused.
Right.
And at that stage in 2019, we're like, well, how do we make enough passive income with what we can already know and do so that we can make the move abroad? And so based on that conversation, like my husband, we didn't see it until now, but he's been doing 20 years of property management.
Nice.
And he owned properties in the Bay Area, California. And I never saw this as an opportunity because it felt very like location focused, right? It's like he had to show up, he had to make sure contractors are doing certain work, he had to collect the rent. We really didn't see it until we allowed ourselves to see it in that decision when we said, we're going to make this happen. And when he looked at what he was able to kind of hire the right people to run it, we were able to like trial it for a summer to go, we trialed it we spent a summer outside of California and went to Florida. So we trialed it for a summer, what it would look like to run on auto with the right people. But he'd been working in this space for a while. So we really had to dig deep and figure out how to make the most of what we already knowledge and the knowledge and skills that we have. Because otherwise you can't really move to parts of the parts of this world, because there's just going to be so many limitations with jobs. So really, and so in that we were like, okay, well, let's figure out how to be more financially freer so we don't have to spend all of our time making, paying the bills, making the money enough. And that really freed up a lot of our time. And so that was another life goal of ours, right? At this age, I turned 40 when we moved. So that was like enormous for us. Like we could actually let our properties create passive income and then not spend the time. And then I also knew this would allow me time to develop in the other areas in my personal pursuits that I could turn into a business.
Thank you for sharing. It sounds like, and I see your question, David and Jana, I'm going to get to it in 1 second, but to carry on with the property management, some people are really nervous from what I've heard, on like past events, to like leave their home, with a renter. And sometimes it is easier just to sell it. Do you have a say on it? I mean, obviously in your guys' case, it's helping you, to get the D7 visa, all that properties.
That's a good point.
That's maybe stuck, like not knowing if they should rent or if they should sell.
I mean, I will say it isn't an easy decision. We still rent, but now I'm like, we're 4 years in and we've had to invest a lot of money to continue to have the maintenance and the upgrades to be able to get the monthly income. So there's that side. So I'm kind of like, you have to look at your own personal situation. Would you be able to take that money from a sale and put it right directly into like your new home in a new country?
Right.
That's kind of where I would want to do if I'm thinking about selling my home and buying something of a home here in Portugal.
Yeah.
But at first it was like, let's test the water, as I don't want to lose this property that I call home back in California and maybe not be able to re-enter the market. But in some ways it is a bit of a crutch.
Yeah.
I don't have the right, it's like, it's kind of both.
I kind of agree. And I don't know if you guys do too, about that strategy of like We haven't moved to the country. We don't really know if we like it. And
Yeah.
testing the waters, getting the renter in there, getting the passive income. So the D7, you have the 3 months that they want to see. You know what I mean? And then at least you have it for that. And let's say you're like loving it, you get the D7, you go over there and you're like, we don't need it anymore. Like let's now sell it. I honestly think I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That makes
I
more
mean,
sense.
yeah, that's where we are. That's what but it's something I have to confront now after I've like kind of mentally moved on from California. Like, but I have to
We're gonna
confront
go
it now.
back. Go back
Yeah.
to do all that. What is your guys' take on it? I mean, Brandy, David, Jana, Linda. I'm so curious because it is a bit of a risk in a way, like if you were to like give up your home, but you've never actually lived in the place. At least on my side, that's what I'm thinking could come up for some people. What do you guys think, David and Jana?
We have been struggling with that substantially because we have only had this house about 3 years, and we had to come in and completely furnish it because we moved to Kentucky with no furniture.
With no notice. It was during COVID, and we lost our jobs, and we relocated here because David found work.
Wow.
So we started over. I mean, we brought our books and personal things, and we have a couple pieces of furniture that are important to us, but everything else we just rebuilt from the ground up again. So we've been grappling with selling everything again, selling the house furnished, renting it furnished. What do we do?
Yeah, this has been an ongoing conversation that we have had, deciding what to do. And if we sell it, we're selling it fully furnished. We're not bringing it virtually anything but some books and paintings and a couple heirloom pieces of furniture, and that's about it. And the cat.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of like maybe it comes down to like, what's your bigger goal? Are you trying to create monthly income, or do you want to just settle in the next spot and have something to call home and feel?
My Social Security is, I waited until 70 to claim it. So my Social Security is considerable. And so from that standpoint, we have a bug. And what's causing all of this conversation is the fact that when we moved from Monterey, California to here, we left my 36-foot sailboat in a slip in Monterey, still floating.
Oh no.
And so one of the things I'm going to do as soon as I retire is go back to California, finish the work that I've done on it, and then sell it. We're looking at that same thing with the house, in that for 3 years now, we've just been paying a slip fee, which is unfortunately more than the rent or more than the mortgage on the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we're kind of waffling back and forth. If we decide we want to keep the house, like she mentioned, and a little bit of a safety net, or for passive income, then what if we get in the same situation a few years down the road? Now we've got to come back, deal with it like we're having to deal with our boat situation. Is it going to be a recurrence of that same thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask, what did you take anything besides clothes and your family?
No, not really. I like have 3 kids, so we had a lot of junk, but we had like 9 suitcases worth of stuff. That's what we came with.
Suitcased it? Did you just suitcase it?
Yeah.
Airplane out? You didn't do those containers or anything like that?
I didn't. I mean, yeah, I wasn't so tied to it. But again, we left our house short-term rental furnished. You know, so, and I don't, yeah, I wasn't so tied to it, but there are things that every time I go home, or my mom or my parents come to visit, then I have them bring some stuff with them for us, but no, not really. I didn't really need that. I sold out a lot of stuff.
You're the more minimalistic view with like non-attachment to maybe the
I'm trying. Yeah. I try my best.
Sometimes
it's hard.
There's no right and wrong, but it makes it easier, right? Because some people are really stuck with the packing part. I had one client, she a lot of storage sheds. Like everybody has storage, right? And just really hard to get rid of some of those things from like the father that had passed. And
The sentimental things, yeah, for sure. Really tough.
We lived on our boat for 6 months after our kids went to college. Then we dramatically downsized from a larger home with 2 adult kids. And then we lived in a tiny house for 3 years. And it came furnished. And in those 3 years, we stored our things like our books and our things, a couple of these 2 pieces of furniture that are important to us. And over those 3 years, we really realized we missed those things. Like it never was really our home because it was just this furnished home that we were living in while we were banking money and downsizing. And so I don't know, I feel like we move across country and we just boom, leave everything again. We're going to have that feeling like it's just not our home. I don't know. I know it sounds silly for a few possessions, but
I mean, could a few possessions come along with you that make you feel a sense of home?
yeah, they could, but they're not something that's going to fit in a suitcase. That's the problem.
You see that clock
Then
behind
you could send
Jana?
it. You could send it over then.
Oh,
I send you the links to David and Jana. There's a service. It's You Create 100, and I'll send you the link to it. It's You Pack We Ship, and it's like 3,000 to send from continental US to Portugal. But it's perfect for like if you have items like those tubs, if you can fit them in those plastic tubs, or even if it's furniture, you just have to like, let's say it was a table, you have to flip it on the other side.
I'm really good with Tetris.
Yeah. But it has to be this cubic. I forget what the cubic amount is, but I'll send you guys that link if you guys
Okay.
can.
Perfect.
Thank you.
But there's so much to talk about, and that's like why, feel free to reach out to Meghana if you want to email in the chat.
Thank you.
As well as like your website. I actually have it here.
It's familiesgoabroad.com.
Familiesgoabroad.com. Okay, cool.
Yeah, families go abroad.
Can you keep that in the update that you send related to this? This is Linda.
Yes.
And I kind of have this whole different thing going on. So I have moved across country with my 2 children when they were young. Literally had what were they, 7 and 8, and a dog, and whatever we could fit in the van. All our clothes were literally put into bags. I got rid of the suitcases because I could, put more in the back of the van that way. We had a cooler with our food that we traveled with. The dog sat in the front because that was always her spot. They were in their car seat things in the middle, and then under their feet were some stuff, and we did bring some things, like they were younger, so they figured out what their key toys were that they really wanted to bring. And there were a few pictures that I got into the van too, but other than that, we literally left everything, and we started fresh when we moved here to Charleston. And what I'm struggling with is I have 2 people who are on my cul-de-sac that literally moved in the last 4.5 months abroad. One family moved to Bulgaria, and my single neighbor across the street, he and his dog moved to the Philippines. Both of them had containers. Both of them brought everything with. And I'm just kind of, one of them sold their house. One of them is trying to rent it, and it still hasn't rented. And I love the property that I'm on. It's what I wanted, have done. Every year have done upgrades to the home to where it's like, I'm looking right now in at my beautiful gourmet kitchen that truthfully, we started during COVID and literally got finished 6 months ago because of delays on everything. And my master bath and all the closets were upgraded, and all of this done. And so I look at it and I'm like, he sold it, and he literally sold it in 6.5 weeks. That's how this neighborhood is so desirable. But those who are trying to rent still haven't rented. And I've thought about doing Airbnb. I've thought about doing Airbnb and long-term rentals. Because it's definitely a place that folks would want to come to hang out in the winter. It's not so kind of snowbirds. And Charleston has just the amount of people moving here every day. The traffic is like when I lived in Chicago. It's insane.
So where are you stuck, Linda?
Where I'm stuck is all the love that I put into this home. If I rent it to somebody, will they love it at the same way to where if I had to come back, I wouldn't have to fix it? And then because I've already done the sell everything and just go with what fits in garbage bags, and start fresh, that part appeals to me. But I do like the, monthly income that you were just talking about to be able to show that, and the other place that, we're kind of like stuck on is I see where I can start a virtual business, and I'm actually working with somebody to do that, because I've gone through major life changes in the last 2 years myself because of a health condition that I am healed from, but my body is still recouping. So know that I could not go back to what I was in before. And I just don't resonate truthfully with it anymore either. But I do have a skill set that, I can use and take to other places. It's my 20-year-olds, how that part of that is, how do we get them up and running and confident enough to have this virtual thing to show the income for them to come with? Because we've all talked about, moving. It's funny, my daughter says we go in a pack, we don't go individual.
It is true. We are a team. That's the thing. It's like, it may seem like you're doing this alone, but you're not either. And like, I'm so happy you're sharing, because these things that are coming up, like, it comes up with all of us.
Totally. Absolutely.
It's the attachment, the non-attachment, mental piece, I'm sure you see it too, Meghana, like our clients that we support, it's like, it's a lot harder for people to do this than you think. I mean, you're telling us it's a really big struggle. You think about it, Meghana, like what would you, I guess, what kind of advice would you?
Yeah, I get it. I totally get the struggle, right? I mean, we had a nice house, put a lot of money, time in building it to our specification, the way we enjoyed. But at the end of it, you've got to really ask yourself, like, we only have this one life, and we don't even know. It's not guaranteed how much time we have at all. So I was always trying to focus on what was important most to me and the experiences that I wanted to have in this lifetime. So those are hard though. Those are hard to
go through,
to reconcile. Yeah, because I knew I had to give up something to get what I really wanted. Also,
it's hard, and the transition part is the hardest. That's what you're helping people with, Meghana. But
yeah.
I mean, even though I set a goal too, like before we came to this 5-month journey, okay, we're going to get our place rented. We only have 2 weeks. Okay, I'm doing that. There is so much agony. You could call it suffering in terms of stress. Like we're all suffering, all of us humans here on earth. Like I was very stressed out during that time, but you keep putting yourself into like the vision, right? Like, which I think you said earlier, Megan, like your reasoning for doing this, like why?
The big why.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing, guys. That's great.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks, Linda, for sharing that, because that's a real struggle for so many people.
Yeah. And Linda, you can build this business. Like it literally just takes the consistent effort. Meghana knows it doesn't just like, oh, you go to sleep and then it happens the next day. You'll start seeing little blossoms here and there, but it is a timely process, but over time with the consistent effort, you're going to definitely see something come out of it. So I
Yeah.
think you're on the right track. And again, we're here to help you. So like if you have any other questions later, feel free to schedule a call with Meghana. She specifically helps with these transitions because it's not easy. Really not easy.
Yeah.
I'm having a struggle being in Asia for so long. I've never been here before. And it's like, it's really pushing my limits sometimes with just the culture and the time change, working with America. Like there's so many like external things that are coming up always. Thank you so much. So I have a couple more questions for you, Meghana. If anybody else has any other questions, drop them in the chat. Can you touch on how you decided to make the move with your kids? Like, what was it like before, like their lives before to like now? And
well, I mean, maybe Linda's topic, right? It was like we had everything. We had a nice house, lived nearby my mother-in-law in a beautiful town, Santa Rosa, north of San Francisco. We had the car.
That's beautiful.
Everything was going well. Everything was going really nicely. Of course, I didn't have the job and the flexibility that I felt I wanted to have as a new mother. But in all, we were really happy. I wouldn't say I was trying to escape or run from anything specifically, but there was this really big longing for the life that I knew I could have, like a good life. We can let that get in the way of something even bigger and greater. And I knew that. I knew that for myself and for my kids. I mean, I know a lot of parents are like, oh, I'm going to break my kids. Like if I take them out of take them out of what they know. My oldest was 6 and I had 2 daughters. My oldest son was 6 and I had 2 daughters. He had started first grade and my 2 daughters were 4 and 1 when we made the move. So it was almost a sense of urgency though, because I felt like I had to do it when they were young enough where they weren't so traumatized by the move, right? They would have like still good memories. And they wouldn't really remember. Like my daughters don't really remember that much of their California existence. My son, it was the hardest in that sense that he looked at our material wealth and tied that to the fact that we weren't like, now I'm in a small apartment. I don't have a car. I'm choosing not to have a car. It doesn't make sense. But I think for him, he really felt like, oh, why are we moving to this small apartment in Lisbon, in a city where we don't have a car, we don't have the comforts that we're used to. So he still kind of struggles, I think, with that. I will be honest. But I know for a fact what we've been able to do as a family is hands down, like it doesn't even compare. Like he's been able to travel to like 6 different countries in the last year. Things that we just never could do from California. I know he's growing from each of those experiences. Like the opportunities that we're giving them right now in the moment is just phenomenal. Accumulation in their lifetime, they'll see it. They'll see how different and how much richer they are. But it's one of those things. It's hard to really get kids on board. Yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
It really does. It really does. And just even the part you said, get them on board. Like, I don't even know if there's a process for that. I mean, because this is, again, tying into the work you do with transitions. Is there like a way that you've seen that works when you're, talking to family members? It doesn't even have to be kids. It could be, I know one member of our club, she can't join on Sundays, unfortunately. So she watches the replays. Her mom is like really not okay with her moving. It's like, how do you deal with that? How do you, and they're like, angry. The kids might be angry. Like, what is the proper way you think to go about it with kids?
Right. So, I mean, I had a strong belief that this is the right move for us. Yeah. I embodied that. I know how much calming I was when I lived here, when I visited rather, and I knew it would be calming for me when I moved. So it's almost like my reaction to these big changes, they're going to vibe off of that. They're going to react to that. So if I'm overwhelmed and tense and stressed, then they're going to see it and feel it that way. I mean, it's the truth of parenting. I think we project so much, even when unintentional. So I knew it was the right move for me. And so I knew I would be in a better place to be a great mother for them, ultimately. oversimplified in a way, but I just leaned into it. I leaned into this. This is what we're doing. We're gonna get more quality time together. There's just so much that I've learned from this move after 4 years. Like my kids can walk to school. We live in a big city.
Wow.
Yeah, my
Out by themselves?
10-year-old, yeah, my 10-year-old and my 8-year-old, we're 5 minutes from school walk. But they can do that. They can have autonomy and independence like I've never experienced living in the United States as a child, right? Those kinds of things I think are really building their self-awareness and confidence. They're just things that are intangible that come from making such a big move, and how much that'll influence who they are as a young person and how they develop ultimately as an adult.
Wow.
So I really believe that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful that you're giving them that experience.
I hope they feel that way. They don't hate me for
They'll
it.
appreciate it later in life. They'll come around and they'll understand for sure.
No,
When they go to
without a
America,
doubt. I
they're
mean,
like, this place is crazy. How did you guys live here for so long? No, I'm just kidding.
right. I mean, my children are like, well, why can't we go to Paris for the weekend? Right? Like, not in a conceited way, but they're like, why do we go to France? Why do we go? I mean, their view of the world is like, why can't I go to school anywhere in Europe or UK? My son's always like, I want to go to school in the United Kingdom. Okay, well, you got some time, but it's like the world is open. It really has.
That's amazing.
Really,
what do you
really
recommend to, I know Brandy had this specific question on the choosing schools. Are they in?
Yeah, I get this question a lot.
Yeah.
I'm very unconventional, so don't this is my view, okay? My view is pick the neighborhood. Then pick the school. Like the neighborhood for us, the neighborhood is the school. It's a community school. So for us, I really felt that was a key characteristic for us moving here, because I wanted to feel a community. And so we found the neighborhood first, then I found the apartment. Okay. And then I said, what's convenient? I have 3 kids. I'm gonna keep it real. I did not have a tall order with schools, because I was like, let me get in, let me get set up, let me get these 3 in school, get them in a Portuguese school where they're learning. I'm sorry if you're hearing the bells, sorry. Let me get them in a school.
The church bells?
Yeah, the church bells. The sounds of Europe. Wow. In our call. But let me get them in school. Let me get them in a loving, warm, welcoming environment that's going to help support them learn Portuguese.
So they speak Portuguese now, right?
Yeah. But that was our priority, was really, let's just keep it simple. Let's not make it this I need to find perfection right now. Yeah. Get them in a school, get us, get our feet on the ground, and we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. If this isn't the school, next year I'm going to scan all the schools in the next 5-kilometer radius. I'm going to figure out the right school. And it ended up being, in our opinion, the right school. Amazing. For our kids, because it's super loving and very much a community school. We will walk outside and we will run into their classmates every day. Every day I walk to school, I have to stop and talk to people on the way. In my 5-minute walk, it takes me 20 minutes because I'm stopping to talk to parents and kids, and they want to talk to my kids and the parents, so it's really about, for us, the neighborhood is a school, the school is a neighborhood. So I don't know if that was really helpful to the specific, this school, but really that's where I felt like I'm also living in the neighborhood during the day, right? They go to school, I'm in this neighborhood now. I want to be in a place where I also enjoy being every day and not having to deal with dropping them. Yeah. Yes.
It's such a cool perspective about the community, because they're learning from that community. Like you guys are going shopping, and that's the biggest lesson in life, is how can we coexist? And I think they do a really good job with that in Europe. And that's also what I loved about it. Like all the kids are walking home. I remember in Spain, everybody's walking home, they know everybody, all the shop owners, and it's just,
absolutely,
you don't see that. Like you said, I know Brandy, you have maybe a little bit different situation with the ages, but I do know that international schools are definitely further out. So the commuting part, you know, either metro or, you know, whatever transportation.
And some of the international schools have their own transportation. They
Oh,
might be able to pick up. Yeah,
okay.
depends. It really depends. And then there's private transportation you can hire. People, like parents do that too, if you
Nice.
don't have a vehicle for
Okay.
international schools or any school. Yeah. I just want to leave one thing with the schools, the school talk. Now it's escaping me, but what did I want to say? Yeah, the schools can be, it's hard to come from an American standpoint, I think, because you want to have like the Waldorf, you want Montessori, you want to have, you know, these type of pedagogical philosophies around education. And I just don't think it's picking up in Europe, but it's not the same. I think it's not the same diversity that way of like educational options. So I really didn't, I kept the bar low, I would say, on schools, because I knew if I made it too difficult to find the right school, it would have made it harder for me to move.
Mm,
Do you see what I'm saying? Like if I made it too much of like, has to be the perfect, I just wouldn't even think of moving then. Cause I think I would have had this feeling of like, I'm not gonna find the perfect place for my kids.
right.
And as a mother, I think you really want that. And I was open to getting there. I was open to like, let's see how it goes. And I can make a decision with more information later. So I just think like parents, we should be maybe give ourselves a little more flexibility.
Yeah. Okay. That's a really good point. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cool. I totally agree. The flexibility, get them into the regular school system too, so they can like learn. But definitely, I know for you specifically, Brandy, maybe because your kids are older, like, I mean, definitely check out the international schools. I do know that they're obviously like somewhat, they could be costly, but you can find ones. Like,
Yeah.
I'm curious if you found some good ones since our last chat.
I have done some research and found them in certain cities that we might be looking at, and they all seem to have some international schools within that city, but yes, they are pricey. So yeah, it's like it's a lot, but you
Oh,
know, I mean,
the
it
other
is what it
thing
is, I guess.
I forgot to tell you, the other thing you could do, you can always have them do online school still back in the US while they finish high school. And they could get their GED, their high school diploma from America. And then when they enroll into university in Portugal or anywhere in Europe, they just take classes in English.
Really?
Wow.
That's interesting. Okay, that's something to think about.
I just thought of that because yeah, we should talk.
Yeah.
Message.
Shauna, yeah, you seem really informed, Shauna. I was going to say my friend has her daughter in high school at the Brave Academy in Lisbon.
Okay.
And I think they're kind of like a quasi like online school that's American based. And their rates are cheaper.
Okay. Brave Academy, you said?
Yeah. It's like the same, I think it's the same, like what's his name? Cuban. He did the Shark Tank. Oh my
Mark
gosh.
Cuban.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
he started this
That's amazing.
whole institute.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm gonna say I've had mixed reviews, but I know that parents have, like for teenagers, like Brandy's, like have put their kids in that school and they've had, you know, at least it's a little bit cheaper and a lot of flexibility in education's in English.
That would be amazing. Oh, other option, because I had parents ask me to do this. You can homeschool, they could get homeschooled online, and then you just hire a local English teacher that, you know, was top of their class, SATs, did so well, like graduated from XYZ University from America, that wants to teach them at home. And it would be a fraction of the, like, I don't know, in EU, they charge like 10 to 20 an hour for that. So I don't know what that cost would be long term, but maybe you could do some sort of agreement with them where they only have like 3 or 4 hours of school a day, but they have a private tutor that's teaching them. Other options.
Yeah, like definitely there's a growing homeschooling community out of Portugal.
Yeah.
And they're trying to like, because it's not very what is it, promoted in the Portuguese culture and system, but there's tons of foreign students doing it, foreign kids doing it, like expats. And I think it's growing popularity.
I'm so happy we talked about that. Thank you, Meghna. Okay, I have one more question, and then I don't want to keep you too long. It's so juicy. I feel like we could stay talking about your everything for so long. So you arrived. This is a question actually from Susan who couldn't attend. So you arrived, like, so she says questions about process in Portugal in the first year of the D7. I guess she's already almost has her approval for the D7. So and she's
Oh,
still
wow.
US based. She's bought her house and everything in Azores.
Oh my gosh.
So maybe you
Amazing.
guys can connect, and if you're ever in Azores, you should definitely hit Susan. She says time commitment in Portugal before you can travel again outside country. So she kind of wants to know, like, when you arrived to Portugal on the D7, like, what was next? Were you kind of stuck there? Were you able to leave? I know you have to get that residency. Like, what was your guys' process, and also like integration?
Right. Okay. Okay. There's okay. Well, D7 was like a lot easier to do DIY. That's how we did it few years back. It was pretty like not as many rigorous requirements as they are now, because I think now they are asking 12-month lease ahead of your application. So you need to get a lease agreement, and it has to be registered with the Porta das Finanças, you know, here in Portugal. Anyways, I'm happy to drill down more, but I've had people do it DIY on their own with the support of Facebook groups. Basically, we applied in San Francisco at VFS. In San Francisco, it's like a third party that does all the processing for Portuguese consulate. And then she's probably on her way, so she probably already had this appointment and went to the appointment. Then after I think it's like, gosh, it's been I think it takes a couple months before you get your actual visa in the mail sent to you in wherever you live in the West Coast. In my case, or East Coast, it would be in the New Jersey, New York office, or DC. When you get it after a couple months, then you can you're basically allowed to come into the EU and into Portugal with your new extended visa for residency. Basically, when they send you that visa, they send you a date for the local office immigration, which is within a few months of you arriving into Portugal. So you'd want to come and then set up, they have an appointment already set for you, and then you'd get it. And I don't know exactly the timeline, like how many months now, because I haven't done it in a while, but my clients have, and I think it's coming around in a couple more months. The next appointment is in a couple months, and then you get your visa kind of mailed, your temporary card is mailed to you.
Got it.
But I don't really know the laws about traveling outside of Portugal or within the EU. I think it's like really discretionary. I think it depends on your immigration person that you get. Like, I wouldn't take a risk personally, but I don't know. I've heard of people that who had to travel, and I think it's fine too. And again, I think it's who you get. Sometimes you might get somebody who's a stickler for the rules, and I don't know what those are legally. But I kind of, maybe in your head, if you can just think of staying put until you get your actual temporary card, and then it's 2 years.
Yes.
And then it's another 3 years after that, and then you're done with the process. So it's a 5-year process.
So you're about to get your citizenship.
Well, we got delayed with COVID. Okay. It's not citizen, it's permanent card. I don't have to, I have permanent card, so I don't have to go back to immigration again after that. But I can apply for citizenship after my 5 years. I still have 2 more years because they pushed me out 7, 8 months because of COVID.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I love that you shared this.
Sorry. Lots of details probably.
Also, to answer her question, Susan, you should, like Meghana says, you should stay put, because you could leave Portugal. There's no borders. You can drive across, go to Spain. Yeah. Nobody's going to know, but definitely don't fly to the UK. Don't go into Switzerland. Don't go to Iceland. Don't go back
outside the EU. Yeah. Don't take a risk
for a couple months until you get it in the mail. Like you said.
I think so. I would personally, I wouldn't want to risk anything.
And then to answer Linda's question about when you got there, when you arrived, you're like, I'm here. Did you start out by renting Airbnb while you were finding your community?
Yeah, but I was fortunate to be able to do that 4 years ago when I applied.
Mm-hmm. Now,
but they don't allow that now. They want you to have a set 12 months, and I don't know about DC, but 6-month lease at minimum. So I think it's okay. Like make a just choose a cool spot that you've investigated. You're like done enough research. You're like, okay, this could work for what I value right now in my life, and then you can always break the lease after 2/3, completing a third of the lease after you get your papers.
That's what I was gonna say is like all because you just need to get there.
Yeah,
Then
get
get,
there.
get your papers, and then you can do whatever you want with the lease.
Right.
Lease agreement.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I would say to people.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And do you have any last minute advice for people before we I transition
Yeah.
to talk about after our love path, but
I mean, if this is real, if you're really serious about this, be all in, be all committed, and just decide to make it happen and not like, and don't, just like, this is what you really want, go for it all the way. And because you don't know what tomorrow's, I mean, people say, I want to move in 5 years. I'm like, how do you know you have 5 years?
right.
I mean, I don't want to sound like, negative or more, I don't know what the word is, but like positive. But honestly, if you really, really, really want this, you have to be super committed to just following through. And it'll happen. It'll happen. It'll be inevitable. And it'll be probably one of the best things you'll do for yourself because of what it opens up and what else you'll be able to do with your life going after that. The confidence it gives you in yourself to be able to pursue even other bigger things that you felt afraid to do. So I'd say don't be afraid. Do what's the easiest to make it happen. Don't overwhelm yourself. You don't need to have all the answers. Yeah. Whatever is enough for you to go forward to the next step. Just make it happen.
It's so true. Once you start getting the ball in motion, you start putting the energy in, things are in motion. Things will just appear. Like the other day, Kirk, in the club too, he went to look for an appointment. And for a couple weeks, he was looking, there was nothing. It was like super far out. And then he checked randomly. He asked me, he goes, what should I do? I said, check in the middle, random times. I'm like, check at 2 a.m., check at 7 p.m., check whenever. He saw an appointment for 2 days later. He's in he's like in the mindset. He's like, this is happening for me. And he brought that appointment to him. It wasn't like that just came out. Like it's your intention, it's your focus, it's your energy. So I think that's a cool example of like somebody that, you're
totally
putting your efforts in there. So tell us, Meghana, how can people connect with you?
So if you want to connect with me, I have my Instagram is Meghana_in_Portugal. I have a small following on YouTube. I put some videos out there just explaining my process and my experience kind of with the waves, I would say. Like I've been through the honeymoon stage and beyond with expat living. Just the things that I think are really important to consider. And if you want to talk to me, I'm also available. I have a few spots in my coaching practice available, and happy to support people along in their journey to making this real.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, what is your email?
Can
I drop
it? It's like info at, I have a couple emails, but info at familiesgoabroad.com. Info at familiesgoabroad. That would be my email for my company. Yeah.
Abroad.
Anything that people are going through, I'm happy to support with this because it's all a mind game at this point.
It really is. The tangible things, it's just like a job. I mean, we have to do this every day. Imagine if we put the same effort into like the effort we put into our jobs, like working for somebody else for just this goal that we have and the massive success you're going to have. So thank you so much, Meghana, for your time. I know we kind of went over the allotted 30 minutes, but it was cool. You guys got involved. David, Jana, Linda, thank you guys for like this makes it more real, right? Like if we're
thank you all for sharing. Yeah.
We can talk a lot, but it's nice to hear what you guys are going through. And like, obviously there are struggles. I think too, regardless, whatever decision you guys make, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Everything is like neutral. Yeah, I think that also kind of helps to kind of take the neutrality position instead of like, oh, yeah. I don't know. That's just my take on it. But Meghana, thank you so much. So good to see you.
Thanks. Thanks for inviting
Thank
me to
you.
talk to you.
Yes.
Thank you, David.
And
Thanks,
we're
Linda.
gonna, you can feel free to stay on if you'd like. We're gonna be going over healthcare. Obviously we have 30 more minutes. So feel free to stay if you want, but not if you have to go too. It's totally fine. But thank you again, Meghana.
Thank you, Shauna. Maybe we can touch bases, and I am gonna head off the family dinner.
It's Sunday.
But it was great to talk to you.
Good to
Ciao,
talk to
ciao,
you too.
beijinhos, beijinhos, kisses.
I'll come
And
visit you in Lisbon.
please do.
And you guys, if you're in Lisbon, you definitely need to hit up Meghana.
Yeah.
If you're
It's
open
always
to
fun. I am. It's always fun to meet people in person, of course.
I'm over here like a promoter. Like I'm like, go see Meghana. And I'm like, wait a
Thank
second.
you.
Does she want to have coffee? I'm just like the nicest person I know. So